Hey, what's going on, everyone? It is B. Avery here for another episode of Just My Opinion. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. In this episode, we are doing another box office breakdown. So let's look at the films that were fighting at the box office. New releases, new wide releases. First, we have Aladdin. We also have Brightburn and Booksmart. Now, I have seen 2 out of the 3 films. I have seen Aladdin and Brightburn. Those reviews are on my channel. Please go check them out after you subscribe. I would appreciate that. As far as Booksmart is concerned, I haven't seen it yet, but I will be seeing it today, and my review will be up later this week. So we had a 4-day weekend, not a 3-day weekend before Memorial Day. And so I'm going to give you the 3-day breakdown and also the 4-day breakdown. I'm going to kind of brush through the 3-day and focus more on the 4-day. But looking at the top 5 real quick, we have Aladdin coming in at number 1 on a 3-day at $91,500,000. John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum coming in at number 2, $24,587,000. Coming in at number 3 is Avengers Endgame at $17,200,000. Pokemon Detective Pikachu is coming in at $13,400,000. Brightburn is coming in at number 5 at $7.8 million. And Booksmart, the last new release, is coming in at number 6 out of the top 5 at $6.9 million. Now that is the 3-day, but let's look at the 4-day weekend because we had a 4-day weekend and films made much more money. Aladdin again coming in at number 1. It brought in $116 million over its 4-day weekend. It is in 4,476 theaters. It has a per theater average of 26,096 theaters, and the budget was $183 million. Now, this film is doing very well. It came in a little bit over what it was projected to do, which was around 60 to 85 million. And then over the 3-day, it did 90 million. And over this 4-day, it did 116 million. I spoke upon the production budget at $183 million. Which is a pretty hefty budget, but Aladdin is a very known IP, so I really can't get mad at them for that too much. Dumbo came in at the budget of $170 million. So you guys know my rule of 3, a film, or just the industry, a film needs to make 3 times the production budget for the studios to not necessarily just be happy popping bottles, but for them to consider it a somewhat respectable profit, a respectable return. So if you take 183 times 3, that comes at $549. So that is the minimum that this film needs to make, in my opinion, and just how the reporting goes for the studio to be very happy with their investment. And I think the film will do that pretty easily. Right now, if you look at Aladdin worldwide, it is looking at $255 million. So that's great. $255,847,707. Now, you may say to yourself, Brandon, why does it need to make 3 times the budget? I don't understand. You kind of brushed over that. Some of you may know, some of you may not. So let me explain. The reason why is there are 3 costs to a film. You have the production budget of Aladdin, which is $183 million. You also have the marketing budget, which has nothing to do with the production budget. The production budget covers every single thing that has to do with making the film, including the actor and actress's salary. Every time a movie ends, you see the ending credits. The production budget is split amongst all those people. Not evenly, but it is split amongst all those people, and it does include the actor and actress's salary. So you have the production budget, you also have the marketing budget, and I will go ahead and say that the marketing budget for Aladdin was at least an additional $100 million. And then you also have the cut of the box office that goes to the theater/theater owners, which is on average a third of the box office sales. So what at the end of a theatrical run, on average, it is not an exact science. It is not an exact dollar amount. It is the average over all films. It usually ends up being a third of the box office. 1/3 goes to the theater/theater owners. So once they take out their cut at first, then you subtract the marketing, then you subtract the production budget, and whatever you have left over is your profit margin. And right now, Aladdin is doing pretty well at $255 million. This could be in the $1 billion, join the $1 billion club. I don't know. It is open day and date around the world except for Japan. I believe it opens in Japan sometime in June, I believe June 4th. But just to be exact, let me go ahead and just double check that real quick. for you guys. Yes, it's going to open up in Japan on June the 7th. And so Aladdin is doing very well at the box office so far. Coming in at number 2 for this 4-day weekend is John Wick Chapter 3 Parabellum. It brought in $30 million, $30,974,000 to be exact. It had a 45% drop, which is very, very damn good. Right now, it is in 3,850 theaters. It had a per theater average of $8,045. And like I said, it is in its second week of release. Right now, worldwide, the film is at $182 million. And so that's great. It has already surpassed what John Wick 2 made. And when you look at that, John Wick 2 worldwide made $171 million, while John Wick 1 made $88 million worldwide. So John Wick 3 is already past that. It's doing very well at the box office. Also, what's impressive to me when it comes to John Wick is competing with the Mission Impossible Rogue Nation film and also Jason Bourne. If you look at the weekend to weekend for all the 3 of those films, it was competing the first weekend with $56 million, and then also the second weekend is $24 million. Now that $24 million is the 3-day weekend, it's not the 4-day. And Mission Impossible Rogue Nation brought in $28 million, while Jason Bourne, the latest film in that franchise, brought in $22 million. Now that film was a disappointment, so that box office is going to be low. But John Wick is just doing hella good. I mean, it was a small indie B level budgeted film, the first one, but now this is turning into a nice franchise, a nice blockbuster. And so I just got to give it up to everyone involved because, they're doing just a great job there. So yeah, John Wick, $182 million. I can't wait for worldwide. I can't wait for John Wick Chapter 4. Coming in at number 3 for the 4-day weekend is Avengers Endgame. It brought in another $22 million, $22,063. This is over the 4-day weekend. Let me remind you, it dropped 26%. Right now, it is at 3,810 theaters. It lost 410 theaters from last week, and it is in its 5th week of release. And of course, guys, I'm going to want to say more about Avengers Endgame, but I'm going to just come back to that. Coming in at number 4 is Pokemon Detective Pikachu 4-day weekend. It brought in another $17 million, $17,247,000. It dropped 31.3% from last week. Right now, it is in 3,824 theaters. It had a 3-day average of $4,510. It is in this 3rd week of release. Right now, Pokemon Detective Pikachu is looking at $358 million worldwide. Now, the production budget for Pokemon Detective Pikachu was $150 million. So it needs to make $450 million worldwide to make 3 times the budget. So, the studios are saying to themselves, okay, we did not waste any money. Will it reach that milestone? I'm not sure. Like I said, it is in its 3rd week of release right now. And I believe that it has opened in every territory around the world. The only few, it hasn't opened in Poland yet, Romania, Greece, Saudi Arabia, and Madagascar. Madagascar is like nearly middle of the summer, July 31st. So, it can, pick up there as well. I don't know how big it can be in those countries, but it needs to make another little less than $100 million. So Warner Brothers are not crying, in their offices saying, hey, this is such a big waste of money. And people were just saying Pokemon is the biggest IP ever. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. Here we go, guys. It's unfortunately not the biggest blockbuster, that we thought it would be. But coming in at number 5, new releases is Brightburn, Screen Gems, Sony. It is the evil Superman story. I have the review up. 4-day weekend, it brought in $9.6 million, which is amazing. The budget was only $6 million. So this film only needs to make $18 million worldwide for the studios to make some money. It is in 2,607 theaters. It has a $3,686 theater average. And right now, worldwide, it is at $17 million, $17,410,000. And so that's just freaking great. I enjoyed the film. It's only an hour and a half, go check it out. I even think we could possibly get a sequel to this, the James Gunn produced evil superhero Superman film. So $17 million worldwide. It is doing great at the box office. And even though this is not in the top 5, we're just going to look at Booksmart real quick. It brought in $8.7 million over the 4-day weekend. It has not been released overseas. I don't think it will. It's not a big property. This is an American-made comedy. But let me just go ahead and just double check real quick because, it is going to have a worldwide release. Not too many territories, but enough. A ton of it's opening up today, May 30th, June 7th, June 13th, 20th. Yeah, it has at least how many films? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 15 territories. It hasn't opened in yet, and so the production budget for Booksmart, to my understanding, is not that much. Yet I don't have a production budget for Booksmart. Now, something that I skipped over, my bad guys, is the cinema scores for all these new releases. We have Aladdin at an A. That's great. The only thing better than that, of course, is an A+. So we have great word of mouth as far as that film is concerned. Booksmart has a B+. It's not bad, but it's not necessarily good at the same time, but I've heard people raving about that. Brightburn has a C+ cinema score, which is surprising. I liked the film a lot better than audiences did. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I went in with high expectations too, and for the most part, those were met. So Aladdin is an A, Booksmart is a B+, and Aladdin is an A, Booksmart is a B+, Brightburn is a C+. As far as Rotten Tomatoes is concerned, Aladdin has a 57% on Rotten Tomatoes, which isn't good. That's rotten. Brightburn has a 57%, which isn't good either. But Booksmart has a 97%. So, a lot of people are loving that film. Critics gave it a 97%. The audience verified rating of 17,000. That's not 17,000. 1,700 audience votes. That said is 75%. So pretty much everybody is loving Booksmart, but it's just unfortunate that I don't even want to say unfortunate that it didn't make the top 5. It really doesn't matter when you're going against a ton of big blockbusters. As long as the film makes money, that's all that matters. No one was expecting Booksmart to come in at number 1 or number 2, especially when you have Aladdin and all these other films, at the top of the box office. But since Aladdin is number 1 right now, let's look at the Disney live action remakes or reimaginings. Let's look at that chart right there. As far as openings are concerned, over the 3-day weekend, Aladdin again brought in $91 million. But you see at the top, Beauty and the Beast brought in $174 million on this opening weekend. Of course, this is domestic that we're looking at. Domestic Beauty and the Beast is at $504 million. Aladdin right now, including the Monday's numbers, Memorial Day, is at $116 million. If you look at adjusted for inflation, of course, Beauty and the Beast is still there at the top domestically at $511 million. Aladdin is down there at the bottom at $116. Which is crazy. You see Aladdin and Dumbo right there back to back. That is Aladdin's opening weekend that's made more than Dumbo's whole theatrical run domestically. So that's just unfortunate. The Dumbo film wasn't bad. It wasn't amazing either. It was a decent film. I enjoyed it, but that's losing money right now, unfortunately. And right now, worldwide, if you look at the Disney live action remakes, of course, Beauty and the Beast is up there at $1.2 billion, Alice in Wonderland at $1 billion, and Aladdin is down there at number 10 at $255. And I think it's going to crawl up there. I don't know how much, but I think it's going to crawl up there and do all right for itself. So let's look at Avengers Endgame. It is killing it at the box office right now. Worldwide, this film is looking at $2,686,851,641. This is crazy. The film has now surpassed the $800 million domestic mark. Avatar was $760 million, and now Avengers Endgame is at $803 million. Now, let's look at this real quick. The domestic chart. Of course, we have Star Wars The Force Awakens way up there at $936 million. Avengers Endgame is not going to catch that. I believe Avengers Endgame is going to make still about $850 million domestically. I'll tell you why I feel that way in a second. And you see that Avatar is at number 3 at $760. But if you look at the domestic totals adjusted for inflation, of course, Avengers Endgame is now in the top 20. $803 million. It is now past The Lion King, 1994 at 803 as well. So that's the top 20 for adjusted for inflation. You will see that Avatar is at $876 million. So Avatar still sold more tickets than Avengers Endgame. And of course, if you don't know what adjusted for inflation, what that means is if an all-time theater ticket prices were the price that they are today, the day that I'm filming this video, this is what they would have made. Now you look at Gone with the Wind, which came out in 1939 domestically, it would have made $1.8 billion, nearly $2 billion domestically alone, just in the United States. Now that film was out in theaters for years, and you know, I can only imagine how little competition it had, you know, but I still have to talk about this stuff. But yeah, Avengers Endgame is coming in at number 19 when you adjust for inflation. And of course, when you look at Avengers, the biggest film of all time, you know, Avatar is at top, 2.78 billion. Avengers Endgame is at 2.6 billion. So right now, at the time of me filming this video, Avengers Endgame is 101. This is including Monday's numbers. It is not including Tuesdays. It is $101 million away from catching Avatar. $101,113,496 million. So I was once saying, hey, you know, Avengers is going to hit 3 billion. I was saying worldwide. I was saying that it's going to pass Avatar. I was saying that Avengers Endgame was going to reach $1 billion domestically initially. I'm wrong on all three of those. It is not going to reach $1 billion domestically. It is not going to reach $3 billion worldwide. Will it pass Avatar? No, it will not pass Avatar on its first theatrical run. When they re-release the film later on this year or whatever, it will pass Avatar by then. And now some of you may be saying, well, Brandon, that's not fair. I got a re-release. Well, Avatar got a re-release in theaters as well, so it'll be even. Also, Titanic got a re-release. Originally, Titanic, which is number 3 right now worldwide, it was at 2.1 billion. No, it was at 1.8 billion. And this film came out in 1997, but then they got its 3D re-release April of 2012, which bumped it up another $300 million. So it's $101 million away. So I think that Avengers Endgame still has $50 million left in its tank domestically, and $13 million left in its tank worldwide. Now, over this past week in Avengers Endgame, it brought in $32 million, I believe, worldwide. And so the reason why I think Avengers Endgame will still make like around $850 million domestically is, let's look at the comparison of Avengers Endgame with Avengers Infinity War. If you look at the weekend, now let's look at the week to week. If you look at the week to week, you see at the top, of course, the first full week Avengers Endgame made 473. Second week it made 186. Now the third week is neck and neck with Infinity War at $80 million that third week. The fourth week, you see, is dead even with Avengers Infinity War at 39 million and 38 million. Let's look at the weekend to weekend, and I'll tell you why. I'll get to my point in a second. Look at weekend 3, Avengers Endgame versus Infinity War. 63 million for Endgame, 62 million for Infinity War. Week 4, 29 million for Endgame, 29 million for Infinity War. Week 5, 17 million. For Endgame, 17 million for Infinity War. So it's if I can't talk, if Avengers Endgame stays on pace with Avengers Infinity War, all I did was I just went to Avengers Infinity War. I was like, okay, hey, at this point in time in this theatrical run, how much money has it made? So I'm just looking right here. As of now, at this theatrical run, Avengers Infinity War made $627 million domestically, but at the end of its theatrical run, it made $678 million. So that's just a difference of $51.1 million. So if Endgame stays on pace with Infinity War, it's going to make another $50 million. Hence, me saying Avengers Endgame will make $850 million domestically. And so if you take $50 million, and I think worldwide, Avengers Endgame is going to make another $13 million internationally. I'm just going to go ahead and give you my total right now. I'm going to try to call it before everybody else. So I'm going to take this 2.6 billion plus 51 million plus another 13 million for international. So I think Avengers Endgame is going to end up at $2,750,851,641, and that is going to be short of the all-time record of 2.78. It's going to be 2.75. So I don't think Avengers Endgame is going to catch Avatar on its first initial theatrical release, but when it gets re-released, I think it'll be just fine. If you want to go ahead and look at the worldwide for 2019, of course, Avengers Endgame is at number 1 at 2.6. Captain Marvel is 1.1. The Wandering Earth is at 699. Also, if you want to look at the 2019 domestic, of course, Avengers Endgame is at number 1 at 803. Captain Marvel is at number 2, 425. Us is still up there at 174. And also, this hasn't changed much at all either. This is the Marvel Cinematic Universe domestically. Avengers Endgame is at number 1 at 803. Black Panther number 2. We see Captain Marvel is down there at number 6. And worldwide, of course, Endgame is at 2.6. Infinity War is at 2 billion. All the Avengers films is the top 4, of course, in the MCU. That makes perfect sense. Also, guys, just real quick, let's just go ahead and top out the top 10 for this weekend as well. We talked about Booksmart. A Dog's Journey is coming in at number 7, bringing in 4.1. The Hustle is coming in at number 8, bringing in another 3.5. The Intruder is coming in at number 9, bringing in $2.3 million. And Long Shot, which is a box office bomb, is brought in another $1.6 million. Right now, worldwide, Long Shot is at $41 million. The production budget was $40 million. So that's losing a lot of money. But I am a big fan of Megan Good and everybody that was in her film as far as Intruder, and that's making a lot of money, right? I mean, the worldwide is at $33 million. The production budget was only $8 million, so it only needed to make $24 million. Yeah, it's $9-10 million over that. So, that's great as well. But guys, that is just my opinion as far as the box office breakdown. What did you think about my numbers? What did you think about the box office itself? Please let me know down in the comments section below. If you like this video, please give me the thumbs up. Also, please consider subscribing to my channel, and also look me up on social media. I would really appreciate it, and all that is down in the description box below. But guys, I just want to thank you again for tuning in to my box office breakdown. And before you go, don't forget that my name is Brandon Keith Avery, and that's just my opinion. Peace.